naturally, you don't flog a dead horse. This thing called Azimio is dead. So we don't have to flog it. Let it allow through the normal transition process, and at the right time, we shall bury it with the baggage it had. Uhuru may be too much of a gentleman. Rigathi Gachagua is not only a serious player, but also somebody who is willing to dare the devil.
Spirit of Mau Mau?
He is a child of Mau Mau. After Ruto, this government will just disappear from the face of Kenya. It is actually the worst, the most perverted government that we've ever had since 1963. A government that does not have direction, a government that does not have order and does not believe in institutions and does not believe in working through a system. When he's talking, look at his eyes. When you realize that his eyes are moving very fast, there is a lie that is supposed to churn out, but he's not sure how it will come out. For every 1 hour he's on focus, he makes 4 lies plus. So if he was there for 7 days, there could be 7 days times the number of hours he talked times 4.
Great to have you on Richard Mwenja exclusive. The month is April, the year of our Lord 2025. We continue bringing home conversations that are shaping Kenya's political and governance landscape. I'm Richard Mwenja, welcome on board. And today, your favorite think tank, phenomenal thought leader, is back on the program, former cabinet minister, Waziri Kipruto Arap Kirwa. So great to see you, Waziri.
Well, it's also my pleasure to have the opportunity to share with Kenyans here and abroad some of our views, our frustrations, and our aspirations, because we strongly believe this country can be better.
Talking about the diaspora community that supports our program here, our ardent followers, are taking concern with your inconsistency this year regarding your appearance on the show. You're back for a week, you disappear for a month. What's happening, Waziri? Where have you been, though?
Well, there are many engagements, because here and outside. And at times, because we are in semi-retirement, you have to make ends meet. You have to make sure that you go to the farm, because you see now this is planting season. And you know, immediately after planting, you need to take care of the land so that you manage the weeds and you allow the crop to prosper.
Are you taking cue from our president, farmer number 1?
Well, no, I'm just doing it because this is something I've done for the longest. Perhaps before he was in primary school, I was already doing farming in the early 80s.
And not for the cameras?
Not for the cameras. I do it because that is how we do it in Trans Nzoia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Whenever you have, whether it is 1 acre or 20 or 10, it's still farming. Because that is how we drive our source of livelihood and the food security in a sustainable manner. Yeah.
There you have it, Kenyans in Germany who've been asking where Waziri went to. He's back in town, and we hope you're going to be consistent in a bigger way this time round.
Well, I'll do my best, because you see, in May we need to plant other crops.
Oh, really?
So I may just disappear for 1 week or so.
Okay.
But nonetheless, we strongly believe in the struggle, that Kenya can be better.
Sure.
Yeah.
While you were away, Waziri, so much happened in this country, so many developments in our political front. But let's begin with the talk about corruption. Very recently, in a televised interview, former DP Rigathi Gachagua has come forward revealing about how our president is centered in corruption dealings, be it dealing with the Russian oligarchs, the RSF group from Sudan, that it's all about money for our president at the expense of the country's integrity and outlook out there. And not just Rigathi Gachagua, AG Emeritus Justin Muturi has also come forward bearing revelations about how the president has been implicated in major corruption scandals. Well, allies to the president are dismissing that as people talking out of bitterness for being dismissed from the government. They are not substantiating their claims. But from where you sit, Waziri Kirwa, do you feel the president is now the poster child of graft in Kenya? And is Gachagua and Muturi talking out of bitterness?
Well, I may not know exactly why they are talking the way they are talking, but what I know is that their stories have a lot of credibility. In the sense that even Muturi, before he retired, or before he was eased out of the office of the Attorney General, I met him in a book launch, and he told me as much. Not about corruption, but about the fact that our president is not somebody ready for any advice whatsoever. And that confirmed the fears that I've always held, that the president, apart from being micromanager, is somebody who does not listen to an opinion at variance with his own opinion. And it also confirmed to me that in so micromanaging the institutions, it is what is in it for him to get involved in any public discourse or contract with any individual here or abroad. It is a confirmation of what we have always feared, and I'm happy. It has given our story credence in the sense that many people never believed, because some of them were saying I was bitter because I did not stay with him up to the end.
Yeah.
But why? You know, Kenyans, we must accept that regardless of the position you hold, let us not personalize everything that we do. We are doing it because some of us, even if you gave me a position of a minister, I've been a minister before, there will be nothing exciting about it. And I don't think I need so much money as to cry that I wish I got a position so that I make $1 billion or $2 billion. Possibly if God gave me 20 years, the little I have is enough for that intervening period.
Not even a presidential award?
Well, I've already gotten EGH, the highest of the positions that an ordinary Kenyan can win. I'm in the same category as Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Rigathi himself, and many other people who have served this country at a higher level. So I don't think any award from the president is going to change me. He cannot give me CGH, which is equivalent to that position held by the president himself. So some of the things we say because we strongly believe this country can be bettered. There is a lot. Why do I say that?
Sure.
We have a huge potential in terms of the human resource capacity of Kenyans. We have also a huge potential in terms of hard work. At times when people rubbish Kenyans that they are not hardworking, whether they are young or old, it is not true. Our people are very hardworking. They just need the necessary environment for them to specialize in the areas they have trained in. They need space to practice. They need support in terms of facilitation, not support even in terms of money alone, in terms of facilitation with the necessary infrastructure for them to perform. As to the issue of corruption, I'm happy and it is believable that Rigathi Gachagua made a good story of the things that we have known have been taking place. The issues of bringing RSF here and allowing them to form some kind of quasi-government at KICC was, to say the least, against international protocol, practice, and diplomatic etiquette. I say so as a student of international studies. We know that is wrong. Issues of M23 being hosted here against the DRC government is something against the protocol. Issues of whatever they have been doing, whether it's about fertilizer, whether it's about planting of trees,
Kosovo,
whether it's about identifying with Kosovo and ostensibly investing with one of the leaders of that particular region, is something that is against international protocol. So if there is anything that the president has done, he has messed our name locally and abroad.
But he seems to be on a spirit one to fix that diplomatic mess. Case in point, sending Raila Odinga to meddle on the Sudan crisis, sending him as a diplomatic envoy to that region to ensure that there is peace and sanctity in Sudan. Do you welcome that move, Raila being a diplomat-in-chief to Sudan crisis?
Well, Raila is many things to many people, but I don't credit him with a lot of knowledge and experience about diplomacy. It's only that Raila has been enjoying a lot of fair treatment by Kenyans. Even the things he does not understand, people give him a lot of credibility. What the president should have done is to talk to his counterpart in Sudan, so that by the time Raila goes, he's just going to fill the missing gaps. But to send just Raila with a sort of blind message is part of the problem of against international standard of doing things. Because that is the least that the president should have done. So that I go as a diplomat. You see, in terms of definition of who a diplomat is, or ambassador, or special envoy, they all mean the same thing, of course with a bit of variation. It is supposed to be, as you see me, as you see Richard, Richard is presenting the message that is coming from me. So that, because the president cannot be all over the world, the way he was doing at the beginning of his term, ambassadors are supposed to serve the president in those countries. That's why when he's in that particular country, that area where the ambassador stays is seen to be the Kenya piece of land abroad. Whether it is Nigeria, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, or any other country of the 34 embassies we have in Africa, that space is seen to be Kenyan space. And whoever is occupying that space as the top diplomat there is called ambassador or high commissioner, depending on the arrangement of the colonial government. Those who are under British colony, they are called high commissioners. Those who are under another arrangement, for us in Kenya, we call them ambassadors. Like to Ethiopia, to, let's say, to DRC, we call them ambassadors. But the most important thing, every ambassador is referred to His Excellency or Her Excellency. It is not because of them. They are deriving that excellency from the person who posted them to that particular station.
The president.
The president. So in this case, if Raila is in South Sudan, he will be referred to as His Excellency. Right. Because, not because of the position he held as Prime Minister, but because whoever has sent him there is the President of the Republic of Kenya. Yeah.
So do you think the president is really making a mockery of Kenya's foreign service? You've talked about Raila coming back from Sudan with spectacular shame, an egg on the face of Kenya's diplomatic outlook. Do we have a shortage of capable foreign service personnel in Kenya to really put the success we need from their missions out there?
We have many people, and we have many people even in these offices in Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But as I've said, and this is my standard way of looking at things, the advice is as good as the recipient. And the recipient in this case is supposed to be the president, to receive advice from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora that this is the way to approach this particular issue, so that the president is properly briefed and is speaking that advice and using the advice to call his colleague in South Sudan. And I know Salva Kiir would have told him, we cannot allow Raila to see Riek Machar because of 1, 2, 3. And that would have been, so Raila would have been going to see the president, and whatever they discuss is the message between him and the President of the Republic of Kenya. So when you are a special envoy, you do not have power of your own. You are just a bullet shot out of a gun. And if you have to return to the gun, it means you return the original message undistorted. That is the way it is. Yeah.
Waziri, let's circle back to the conversation about corruption. And a few weeks ago, the president and his allies claimed that Gachagua was out to look for money from the president just so to leave his government. There are talks about 6.5 billion Kenya shillings, 8 billion. The president saying Rigathi wanted 10 billion so that he can move away in peace. Do you think Gachagua is calling out corruption, yet he is now the signpost of corruption in the first place? What do you make of those claims about Gachagua soliciting for money before he walks out of Ruto's government?
The most important thing is that money was talked about, which means we as Kenyans, we run the risk of lowering the reputation of the offices that we hold. But what is inconsistent about the accusers is that the figures were different, which means this is something that was not properly thought out, because had he stuck with the 2 billion or 3 billion, that I offered him 2 billion and he wanted 3 billion, and we disagreed on the basis of that, that would have been a believable story. But you could see, and I've told you, Richard, I know the president. I've known him for many years. I think could be over 30 years now. When he's talking, look at his eyes. When you realize that his eyes are moving very fast, there is a lie that is supposed to churn out, but is not sure how it will come out. You could see, and anybody who has done body language and industrial psychology, you could see people like Kimani Ichung'wah, Kindiki, and a few others who are on the side as he was being interviewed by that television station in Sagana. We're almost wondering, the lie is not coming as good as we thought. Or I hope is going to tread on that particular lie carefully, because they knew they are caught. They were like rats in a trap that is not releasing them, but they know we are not getting out of this place nicely. If I had a chance to advise the president, he should have ignored Muturi, he should have ignored Rigathi on that trip and focus on the people of Mount Kenya. Nothing can change those people today because of what the president said, because it's no longer believable. He runs trust deficit so high that nobody believes his story.
Not even through commissioning and launching more projects in Mount Kenya can sway that block behind him?
Many people, even this, the route that he was talking about was done during Uhuru's time, 2019. And the local people were seeing, why is he lying about the road that we have already been using for the last 6 years? That is the one who did it.
So the president took lies to the mountain?
He took a lot of lies. Because you see, he cannot talk for an hour. I've told you, for every 1 hour he's on focus, he makes 4 lies plus. So if he was there for 7 days, there could be 7 days times the number of hours he talked times 4. So a lot of lies were churned out in Mount Kenya, because even the stadiums that he was pretending to be, now they are going to be completed. How can you talk about contractors as if you are also unable to manage them and you are the president? Really, it's supposed to be us saying we want the government to do this, but it's not him saying this contractor messed, this one messed, this one messed, but now things will be better.
So what's the general assessment, your assessment of the president's Mount Kenya tour? Do you think it was a spectacular failure, dead on arrival?
Personally, I would say he did a good job for himself, because he was able to manage the logistics and create that feeling that the situation is not as bad as we've been told. Remember, he was not doing it for Mount Kenya. He was doing it for the rest of the country, telling them, I still got control of Mount Kenya. So whatever went out on television was good for him, despite the fact that we know there were so many school buses ferrying people. There were so many motorbikes, border, ferrying. Every motorbike was carrying 3 people, the rider and the 2 passengers. So if you have 1,000 motorbikes, you will get 3,000 people. And 3,000 people, if they are arranged in a straight line, and you rise to the roof of your car, people will think there are 30,000 people.
Waziri, are you living in denial? That wasn't organic crowd?
No,
organic followers?
Not. It was not the same crowd that William Ruto enjoyed prior to 2022. That it was so spontaneous, whether it was Kasarani, whether it was Madhira. You remember that he avoided even going to Madhira constituency, and the MP had done a banner.
Because the president believes in those areas there are going to be paid hecklers from Rigathi Gachagua and his lieutenants, Medhu Muhia, Gathoni Wamshomba, that perhaps why he avoided such areas. He was going to meet paid hecklers. Do you think that those who were called at Kimani Ichung'wah, at Wamaua, were paid hecklers?
Well, we don't know, but of course they say when you see somebody beating your dog, he's looking for you. So those who are heckling Kimani Ichung'wah and other people, even Jane Kagiri in Laikipia, are people who no longer have a lot of time for the president, but they were just telling him indirectly that we respect you because of your office, but the rest of it, we don't want your dogs because you've been unleashing them on us. That is the message.
Is replacing Justin Muturi with Geoffrey Ruku gonna appease the people of Mount Kenya that, yes, I have sent away your firstborn, but I've embraced your lastborn from the region?
Well, I think what he was doing, Ruku is the MB for Kisiagago North, a constituency that has presence of the sub-ethnic of Justin Muturi. Ruku is also a member of parliament, courtesy of DP as the sponsoring party. DP is a party that is associated with Justin Muturi. What the president is doing, and I hope, is not going to visit those people with thuggery, a lot of money, so that if he was to win that seat in a by-election, why create a by-election when you know the situation is not as good? He is determined to make sure that that seat is won by UDA. What is the reason? He wants to prove that he still got some presence in Mount Kenya region. And that was the best way of making entry in that area. It will not be as easy as somebody who won the seat left by Alice Wahome when she was elevated to position of a minister. It's not going to be as easy as any other seat that has been won in central Kenya. This is going to be a battle royale. It's going to be something that the president may be embarrassed. It may be a repeat of what we were saying in the 90s, the Kipipiri by-election, where Magic Mwangi, I think, resigned for a by-election to be occasioned, where Mwangi Kithiomi won the election. And the headline, I remember in the Taifa Leo, KANU yaonja pilipili kipipiri.
KANU yaonja pilipili kipipiri.
Kipipiri. Sasa, possibly this time, it will be UDA yatema pilipili Siakago North. That may be the, or yaonja, or yatema. Because KANU lost heavily. And President Moi personally went there. He took power. I don't know why these people, he's repeating Moi's strategies. You could see there was a lorry that was suffered, whether it was Meru carrying the same poles, launching the last mile or whatever it was.
Last mile connectivity.
Connectivity. The same lorry. And we could see.
He's reading from an old political playbook.
Yeah, because you see, a lot of posts were taken to Kipipiri. And when KANU lost, all those posts were taken back to Nairobi. So I don't know.
Now let's talk about the magnitude of projects that the president commissioned and some launched in Mount Kenya. Do you think he somewhat cheapened the presidency? Because people are saying, why launch a sewer line, a drainage system in Embu? Is the president not believing in the spirit of devolution by saying this an MCA can launch, or even a senator or a governor?
Well, I don't know if they will complete all those projects. That will be kudos for him. He will have done something that he ought to be doing. He does not have to go there. You remember Kibaki never went out so much until we were worried that he may not win the next election. Because he believed that if he has a minister, he has MCA, he has member of parliament, and now you have a governor, and you have a senator, you have women rep. Those positions, projects can be done without the presence of the president. But because he likes launching, in fact, I saw somewhere where he was launching a weekend. Somebody
launching a weekend?
A weekend.
On camera?
Yeah, there was a caricature, not a caricature, no, some picture, the photo of the president, that I'm launching this weekend. Yani launching for us the weekend, which comes naturally anyway.
Cheapening the presidency to that level?
Cheapening, and also making himself a caricature for some kind of political satire.
The president will wish to imagine that he was there for the Meet the People tour, not what you're talking about. Could he be living in a bubble?
Well, I think he lives in the past. The mountain has moved. There is nothing. What he should do is to ask himself, where will he get the votes he was enjoying from Mount Kenya? He has tried a project in Northeastern. But you see, the population will not just double up. the population of that particular region, but I'm happy he's doing a lot for them. The population of that region will not exceed the numbers that we know.
Nationalizing the refugees?
But how many are they now? Number two, the issue that is making it look like those people are being isolated is not true entirely. President Moi integrated part of Northeastern, or the entire Northeastern, to be part of the national, the nation of Kenya. Number two, even a county like yours and mine, Trans Nzoia, we don't give IDs to anybody because they are border countries. I know Narok the same, Kajiado the same. So counties that are on the border, one has to be careful on who are you. If you want to nationalize people from other countries, we don't have a problem. But let us go through a due process, because there is a law that was set up here, I think in 1948, and we have not removed from our statutes. Yeah.
Waziri, do you read wisdom behind Interior CS Murkomen's concern that it's high time probably Justin Muturi is arrested for withholding government documents? Because Muturi has come forth this evidence that, hey, this is what the president wanted me to do contrary to the law. Do you think Murkomen is right about arresting Muturi so that he doesn't continue leaking all these kind of arms about the government?
If you tell me to write a letter, and I write, that letter I need to own it.
That don't retain a copy of it, hand over the office with every document in that office.
Which document? But should posterity catch up with me that at this particular time, this is what you did? I think because they knew that they don't trust this government, because this government does not have, I don't think it has continuity. After Ruto, this government will just disappear from the face of Kenya. It is actually the worst, the most perverted government that we've ever had since 1963. A government that does not have direction, a government that does not have order, and does not believe in institutions, and does not believe in working through a system.
But Waziri, you've been a long-serving elected leader in this country, and some want to understand, yes, you're talking about the mess in Ruto's government, but is it the modus operandi for politicians to sit back, see their opponent mess up the country, and then when it's in the ruins, they come back and say, we're going to fix the issue? Do you think that's the style for politicians in Kenya?
You remember, Richard, since we started this program 1.5 years ago,
Sure.
I've been very consistent. And even in other fora, I've been very consistent that William is a micromanager. He's a dictator. He's corrupt.
True.
So we are not sitting back.
But why is Rigathi bringing forth this after he'd been asked out of office? Justin Muturi the same.
But Rigathi was very clear, even when he was in office, he was saying that he will do the things that he knows should be done. He was not going to do the wrong thing. And I told you, Justin Muturi, we met at Nairobi Club, and he told me this guy cannot be advised. And it was not for him to tell the public. He hoped that this guy will change, but he has not changed.
So that's not the political strategy, that let your enemy make enough mistakes so that he doesn't stand a chance for re-election?
It's not a strategy. At times you give somebody the benefit of doubt. And you hope he will change. Even in relationships, I know you are yet to get married.
Sure.
When you get married, all the time you cannot condemn your partner without giving her the benefit of doubt. Give her a chance. She may change. And when you realize things are irreconcilable, then that is when you ask for separation. And at times when you separate, you may come back and you make up for the lost time. But when you are in any political arrangement, it's like a marriage. You give the benefit of doubt to your partner, whether it's your junior or your senior or you are equal. Because at the end of the day, you always expect the best of people. Yeah.
I am glad that you brought that up, because you are asking us to give people the benefit of doubt to see whether they meet the Damascus moment at some point.
Yeah.
Why don't you extend the same say to Azimio, which you've always said it's as dead as a dodo? It's high time DAP exists in other other parties like Wiper. I'm saying this because Farmers Party has filed a notice of intention to exit Kenya Kwanza coalition. Why are you dragging your feet as DAP Kenya, as Wiper, to exit from Azimio? Is it that now you are buying the belief that we also need to extend them grace to see whether they will change?
Well, when Raila was vying for the position of AUC chair, we gave him the benefit of doubt because we did not want to look negative against him. Of course, some of us were able to advise him, and I wrote a letter to him and to Musalia Mudavadi, and a copy to Moses Wetangula, that the way it is, the best way to win this seat is to approach Djibouti so that the candidate from Djibouti doesn't run. If he runs, you are not getting it. It was 2.5 pages. So for us, really, we wanted to give Raila a benefit of doubt because it was not Raila alone. It was going to be a position occupied by one of us, who is a Kenyan, through the name Raila Odinga. When he came back, we thought he was going to tell us a different story. But it seems he had already decided that he's now going to bed with Kenya Kwanza and is going to donate more people, the so-called experts, as if other institutions don't have people who are trained. And he has gone ahead to look like that. So naturally, you don't flock a dead horse. This thing called Azimio is dead. So we don't have to flog it. Let it allow through the normal transition process, and at the right time, we shall bury it with the baggage it had. Then we start a new arrangement politically.
Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma believes for those exiting Kenya Kwanza coalition, like now the Farmers Party, he argues these are inconsequential parties. They bring zero consequences to President William Ruto. Do you think the president should sit pretty and see these parties exit and say, I'm still going to get other votes somewhere else?
Well, we say every vote counts. One time in India, which has a house which subject to confirmation of close to 600 members of parliament.
True.
One fellow was able to form the government by supporting one of the factions, and yet he had only 2 MPs, himself and another, because the numbers were so close that should he go to this side, that is the side that forms the majority. So he was able to bargain for himself a good position. I can't remember whether it was Minister of Foreign Affairs and another person, another position, and the government lasted the normal period, the normal political cycle. In politics, in Kenya, you remember under the Constitution 2010, for the president to be declared, you need 50% of all the votes cast plus 1 vote.
Plus 1.
1 vote. It could be Farmers Party. So Kaluma...
That Tito's party is inconsequential.
No, nobody, even one person. Perhaps if I was to join William, it may be the only vote that will make him win. Just 1 vote, yeah. So every vote counts. And anybody who has never lived through the history does not know. Somebody called Barshil, there was MP, I think in Garissa, one time. He won by getting a difference of 2 votes. And he served in parliament for 5 years. Somebody else, I think that was Kivuitu, the late Kivuitu. He won a seat, I think in Parklands, with a margin of 5 votes. Somebody else in Cherangani, Masinde Mliro, won the seat with a difference of 7 votes.
7 votes?
Yeah. And he lost the seat through a petition.
So 1 vote can make the difference?
It can make the difference, whether it's MCA, president, MP, governor, that makes a difference in Kenya.
So Rigathi's exposés are little enough to take President William Ruto home in 2027.
If it was Ruto, will not get out of the house today.
George Kaluma, MP, we're still going to go back to George Kaluma. He believes that Rigathi Gachagua has just become an ordinary liar. And Mutai Ngunyi argues Rigathi Gachagua stopped being a bombshell. He's only a shell. So no more exposés can sway the masses from William Ruto. What do you make of the argument from the 2 gentlemen?
Well, at times we open our mouths. And the mistake we do is close our minds to reality. You cannot underrate Rigathi Gachagua. You underrate at the risk of losing a serious presidential campaign. Rigathi Gachagua, in the next political dispensation, whether he's running or supporting somebody for the next 5 years is going to be a political nightmare to whoever does not agree with him.
Skeptics to argument what this Waziri will say, it's the Kenyatta's institution, the Kenyatta's family, which is going to offer political direction for the people of the mountain. Uhuru Kenyatta is silent today, but at the 11th hour, people can only listen to him. Is that wishful thinking?
Well, I do not want to underrate any political formation. Kenyatta family has a very solid position politically in central Kenya and the rest of the country. But Uhuru may be too much of a gentleman. Rigathi Gachagua is not only a serious player, but also somebody who is willing to dare the devil.
Spirit of Mau Mau?
He is a child of Mau Mau.
And so is William Ruto, son of Koitalel, descendant
No,
of
no,
Koitalel.
no, they are not even related. You know, I don't know. Why do you forget whatever I tell you?
Because Izala is saying he's living in the spirit of Koitalel, a true warrior for the community and the nation.
No, they are not even related. The Samoei of Ruto is another steer. You know, A is a steer in Kinandi. So the Samoei of Ruto is another steer. The one of Koitalel Samoei, that is a legendary leader of the Nandi.
Doesn't share the same spirit with William Ruto?
No. William Ruto is a commoner. When it comes to the Nandi spirit, he's a commoner.
The warrior spirit.
Warrior spirit is just, you know, it is something that really you cannot compare him with Koitalel Samoei. Possibly he has been able to use that name conveniently, but William Ruto is an ordinary Nandi, just like me.
But Rigathi harbors the spirit of a Mau Mau, Dedan Kimathi.
But that is in history. Yeah, that is in history. If you are to say William Ruto as the Nandi spirit, I would say yes, because he's a Nandi by assimilation. You've heard me? He's a Nandi by assimilation. Assimilation. His mother is a Nandi, but his father is a Kipsigis. But when you just you rope in Koitalel Samoei, no, that is sacrilege to the to the lineage of the Libon. I cannot pretend to be a Libon myself. I'm ordinary Nandi, just like William.
So Gachagua is not going to be that political gentleman like Uhuru Kenyatta. He's going to take President William Ruto bare
and he has
knuckles.
He has taken. I don't think the two will forgive each other. Although in politics, you never know. By December, you may see Rigathi with Ruto on the same side of the equation. You never know.
It could be a long con.
Oh, you never. No. Up to now.
It is not a con.
It's not a con. The two of them don't like each other.
So at some point, you two can cross over to Kenya Kwanza.
Why? I've told you I'm too old to change my mind.
Too old?
Too old to change my mind.
But you consider Rigathi too young to consider such a move?
He's much younger than me. Rigathi could be 10 or 15 years younger than me.
Waziri, they say there are no permanent enemies in politics.
Oh,
and you are no exception. You are a politician.
But it's not about enmity. It's about reality. I told William Ruto before I exceeded Kenya Kwanza that you and Rigathi Gachagua are incompatible. Those who have done industrial psychology will tell you.
So you saw this marriage wasn't going to be blissful from the start?
I told him you will not last 2 years. I told even Felix Koske. I told even Davis Chirchir.
How about the marriage between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, political marriage? Will it last beyond 2027?
Both of them are con men.
Come on, Waziri.
Yeah, I'm telling you. They can con each other beyond.
Father of second liberation, turning him into a conman?
Well, what has he been doing? Has he stayed on one side of the equation except in 2013 and 2017? He's been changing places. You remember the fiasco between him and Wamalwa in Thika? He was trying to run away from Fort Kenya to weaken Fort Kenya.
But Raila Odinga has argued that he is not in government. He only loaned out experts.
Which
and
experts?
Sifuna has held that particular view. ODM is not in government.
Well, Sifuna is saying it differently. But how can Raila say he's not in government when he's using government resources to do all the things he's doing, including even mobilizing people to go to rallies? How can he say are all experts only in ODM? There are many other Kenyans, even in Kenya Kwanza, who can do a better job than Mbadi, who can do a better job than Wandai, who can do a better job than Oparanya, who can do a better job than Askul. Who is the other minister from ODM? whatever they are. They are not the best. There are many Kenyans who are well trained, and they can do some nice job. Even from the backyard of Ruto or Murkomen, they can do a better job.
There are still concerns, Waziri, about weaponizing state opportunities to settle political scores. The TSC has come forth and saying State House is meddling in when it comes to dishing out appointment letters to those who are going to be absorbed as public service teachers. And this is a trend that has been there for quite a while, but many argue that President Ruto is now taking it to a larger pedestal. Do you think the president is actually guilty on this one? KGF letters, an MP has to pay allegiance to him before he's given those letters, TSC letters. Are we weaponizing public service to settle political scores?
Well, I've told you he's a micromanager, and those are signs of a micromanager. Even I suspect government printer machine may be in State House, because ministers get people appointed to their own dockets without their knowledge. That's the truth. I meet many ministers, I will not name them because they'll be sacked.
But isn't it alarming that even a teacher, a calling letter from TSC,
it's unfortunate,
has to come from State House?
That is unfortunate. That's part of micromanagement. Why do we, you see, micromanagement, you know, if I was to define, is not allowing institutions to operate normally and emasculating their capacity and centering on an individual to dispense certain services which could have been devolved from the center.
But don't you think the president became this micromanager because he was having a fairly incompetent AG? That is what he believes from his lenses.
Even TSC
couldn't advise him accordingly.
Even TSC, do you need really to get a competent AG to tell you what to do about TSC, what to do about the military? Of course, I know from time immemorial, you would find one or two places given to this, they were calling them the state. But you cannot recruit soldiers from State House. You cannot recruit teachers from State House. But, you know, the president is expected to have somebody crying, oh, my child is like this. But you cannot say, bring letters, I give out to people. Then even the discretion of the president will not be there. But you see, if I went and I told, oh, Your Excellency, assist me, my daughter has been out for the last 7 years and has not gotten a chance to go to TSC. He may say, okay, let me consider one or two. And he will send some 3-4 names. And now Dr. Macharia will oblige. But you cannot take letters to State House for State House to distribute. What will be the work of TSC?
Maybe the president is not aware of this impunity taking place around him, because today the standard headlines, it's talking about rogue men, citing Farouk Kibet and Dennis Itumbi as people around the president who hijacked the presidency for their selfish interest and to settle political scores at whatever level they feel it's fit. Do you think the president is that good man, but those around him are the bad people?
You see, Richard, this is President William Ruto's government. Farouk is acting at the whims or at the pleasure of the president. Itumbi is acting at the pleasure of the president. If the president is not happy about that arrangement, the two men will be able to be reined in. But the president possibly enjoys what Farouk is doing and what Itumbi is doing.
Nothing to do with the raisi mbaya ni wenye wako kanda yake ndio washauri wabaya.
It is your government. That's why they say Ruto regime, Uhuru regime, Moi regime. Whatever it is, they cannot run away from that responsibility. The buck stops with him. He is the ultimate chief executive that the people of Kenya decided to give him that position through the pronouncement of Chebukati. May his soul rest in peace.
Amen. What do you make of the claim that Farouk Kibet is not just a latter-day Nicholas Biwott, but he's now overdoing it? Because some believe he's the co-president, that even for ministers or even the Vice President Kindiki, you can only act at the behest of Farouk Kibet, who's going to speak on behalf of the boss. Do you think indeed Farouk Kibet is not operating from the shadows like Nicholas Biwott? He's now overdoing it.
Well, I don't want to describe him that way. I just want to say that is what William Ruto likes. Because William Ruto does not believe anybody else has capacity, has the brains that he has. And therefore, all of you are under him. hear what he was telling Gachagua. I'm the president. You have to sign the letter because I'm the one telling you. Because he does not believe that you share power with anybody else. He believes he's the ultimate, he's the alpha and omega. And at times I think William Ruto believes that when he's not in power, this country will go to the dogs. And I want to advise him differently. Kenya will be better without you, regardless of who takes over from you.
Really?
Yeah. Kenya will be better off with anybody.
You somewhat signal that Kithure Kindiki is going to remain a yes sir vice president, because you're talking about the president not being able to let people below him apply themselves. Do you think Kindiki is going to end up a yes sir vice president?
He may not get a chance to flex his muscles. So he may be a good man whose goodness was never seen by Kenyans because he was not able to breathe. Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
That's the way you look at it.
And that's the way. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, very intelligent young man. And he's somebody who understands power, arrangement. And he does not want to unravel the feathers of the boss because he knows the boss is very abrasive, very dictatorial, and does not believe in any advice other than what he believes himself in. Yep.
Waziri, in the run-up to the 2022 elections, the president rode to power on the narrative that it was going to be about hustlers versus dynasties. And for a long time now, Kenyan elections have always been decided on the basis of narratives being sold during that time. Come 2027, what do you think is the narrative the president is going to ride on to clinch a second term, or even the opposition to now take over government?
Ruto must go.
That's the narrative?
Don't change many things. Ruto must go. Because when Ruto goes, systems will operate. Institutions will be respected.
But
money will flow to the economy because there will be no deals.
You could just be changing the oppressor in town.
No, not the oppressor. Nobody else will get the position William has occupied. Because he was able to lie to us that he's a hustler. When we know he lost the capacity to be a hustler about 20 years ago.
Not even subsidizing fertilizer now during the planting season. Meeting Mama Bogo on the Meet the People tour in Mount Kenya and across the region is going to say, I'm back with you hustlers.
So those are gimmicks. Those are gimmicks. You cannot get free fertilizer and you say you have subsidized.
Russian oligarchs in town?
Yes. How do you get free fertilizer and you say you have subsidized? Should have given for free. Or except the cost of transportation.
The communication from government is that even the donation from Russia had to come into the country, be further blended by the government of today and then released to the market. So the government incurred some cost. That's why the price that was there was not the market price but subsidized one.
Well, they have been lying even from the fact that even now, if you go to Sibanga, which is next to my place, normal DAP will be retailing at 6,000. Whatever they are giving in tokens, tone, that's how Tanzanians would refer to, is just a small amount of fertilizer that is not serving all farmers. Many farmers are still buying at 6,000. By the time they are talking of 7,500, they are raising that figure because, these are propagandists. Next time they will tell you, oh, we've subsidized from 10,000 to 2,500. I've never seen liars like the people now in Kenya Kwanza.
Liars by excellence?
They are liars. And at times when they don't lie, their body starts itching.
Allergic to the truth?
They are allergic to the truth from the beginning of time.
We are now talking about reconstitution of IEBC, Waziri. And as we're speaking today, additional 6 names have been put on that list for those to undergo vetting to constitute that particular constitution body in Kenya. And Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka believes that there is a plan to hijack reconstitution of IEBC to serve the interest of ODM and Kenya Kwanza. Do you believe that these fears could be right from Kalonzo Musyoka? There is need for us to scrutinize, audit the IEBC reconstitution in the first place?
Well, I think let's wait for the results of this process because they know if they don't reflect the diversity of the country, it will not pass in a court of law. That thing will be annulled. And we are also running the risk of delaying the process too close to the next election. Because there are many, I think there are 17 areas of election that are now vacant and the people represented in those areas are suffering. My take is that yes, let's wait, but we be cautious. Anything could happen because given a chance, this regime can do anything.
Even plan to rig the next election?
Yeah, they will plan to rig, but of course the margin will be too huge. I've told you it's not less than 3 million.
You seem to consider that the People's Loyal Opposition, which you say the Gen Z are the central figure therein, are going to take William Ruto home in 2027.
Yeah.
But the question in town is, you there, as part of this People's Loyal Coalition, do you think that the glue that binds you together is strong and hard enough to take you through to August 2027, or you foresee breakaways at the last minute?
Whether there will be 10 candidates against William Ruto, William Ruto will not get 50% of the votes.
Even with Raila by his side?
No. In fact, when you add Raila's votes and William's votes, they are less than half the original number. 7 plus 6 is supposed to be 13. They will end up being 5. That I'm giving you for free. Raila is better off running so that he can hold captive his constituency for William possibly to squeak through. But he will not get 50% plus 1. So whatever he does, his average will be less than 50%. So he cannot win in round 1. And in round 2, it will be so clear that he's going to be sent home packing because there will be only 2 candidates, himself and somebody else, or Raila and somebody else.
Do you take concern with what people term as juvenile excitement from some leaders in the People's Loyal Coalition? Some are citing people like Gathoni Wamshomba, some are citing Governor George Natembeya, that yes, you're opposing William Ruto, but come slow, you're too excited for this thing, let's teach you how opposition is done. What's your advice to these 2 political personalities?
Well, I still want them to mature. They are good people. They are good Kenyans. And they are unraveling the feathers of the status quo. But what we need to do is to implore our people to register as voters. We have enough people to send William home. Enough. Because even in the backyard where he comes from, Wasingishu, his own county, not all votes are going to be for him. There are enough people to say, no, this is not the government we expect. Even when you say they are doling positions from State House, not everybody in Wasingishu is getting those positions. Not every Kalenjin is getting some kind of favor. So there are people who are not happy with the regime. And when the day of reckoning comes, you will realize William would be lucky to get 32% of all the votes cast in his favor. Yeah.
Waziri, almost finally, Finance Bill 2025 is on its way. And there are those who are already dismissing it even before going through the entire bill. But from you, where you sit, do you think it's a welcome move for the president to even bring on board talks about Finance Bill 2025 at a time whereby we are decrying a budget that we cannot meet as a nation? There's need for us to really look at our fiscal prudence. Is Finance Bill 2025 welcomed in the first place?
Well, I've not seen it, so I would be over-engaging myself on areas that I do not know. Let me wait when I see it come out, because I'm sure it's almost at the final stages of being formatted before it's taken to the cabinet for it to be taken back to parliament again.
But how about the budget projection for the upcoming financial year? 4.26 trillion Kenyan shillings.
No, that is overshooting the runway. If you are not collecting enough, and the little you collect is going through so many holes, and whatever remains, 70% goes to pay for the debt. And therefore the 30% that you are retaining is for recurrent and less for development expenditure. Where are you going to get a budget like that unless you want to borrow again? And you have overborrowed even domestically. That's why the cost of money has gone up again, almost to 15%. It had gone to 24%. While the base rate is about 10%, the cost of borrowing 1 million shillings is 24%. And this therefore means the borrower, who is the middle class and the lower class and the SMEs, are not able to borrow from the local market. They are forced now to go to other arrangements outside the normal money channel.
Rightly put, Waziri. So now let's talk a bit about this People's Loyal Opposition Coalition, which you say you belong in, Kalonzo Musyoka, Rigathi, Gachagua. But do you take concern with now Gachagua going to the media every other time? Is it high time he retrieves, sits back, probably craft a different political strategy on which he can now use to expose this government of today?
If he had kept quiet, he would have indirectly accepted what the president said in Mount Kenya. So I'm happy he came out, and he came out better than any other time. In fact, this one and the one that statement he made during the launch of DAPK at the headquarters of Chui House are the two statements that he has done me proud. He was able to tell us who William is, and he was also able to exonerate himself from some of the accusations we've been seeing in the social media. This time he deserved it. He needed to do that for purposes of making it very clear that we are dealing with a regime that cannot be trusted. He has acquitted himself. If he was to rest for another 2 weeks, that will be nice.
Finally, Waziri, the concerns from KDF boss General Kariri and Nurdin Haji, boss NIS, do you welcome it, that concern regarding Ruto must go chance? Is it high time we tread carefully around that chant?
No, but you see, what I do not understand, the two officers engaged in areas which we call uncharted waters. They have a job to do, and they can assist the president, like Nurdin Haji, by advising him correctly, and the general can keep a discipline within his forces. And that
stick to the barracks.
Stick to the barracks. Tell us Kenya is doing very well. We have reduced fatalities in Haiti. We are okay in DRC. We don't have a problem. The other day we lost somebody in, was it Central Africa Republic? Chad. So we need to stick to those issues, and we pray that our forces outside and inside.
The other day you said we need you to give report about the death of General Ogola. Take on such issues. Not Ruto must go chance.
No, but you see, the most important thing is let the general stick on the lines that he was trained in. This game of politics, should leave it to us and Rigathi.
How about IG Police Douglas Kanja? Should he make an appearance in a public rally?
Well,
you saw that in Mount Kenya, but he said he was there to enforce law and order.
But you see, must be there in person.
It was a coincidence. He says he was around that area doing his professional tour.
But I think he has been told, and he's gotten the message. Yeah, that is bad manners to grapple in issues of politics.
Bad manners.
Bad manners.
Finally, Waziri, Kenyans are watching you. Farmers in Cherangani, those who are concerned with dynasties, hustlers, and they see you speak about so much ill happening in our country. And the question is, who's going to redeem us? At a time whereby people are talking of Matiang'i, David Maraga, Kalonzo Musyoka, maybe also Kiro is going to be there for the presidential ballot.
No.
Waziri, what is your message to them? Is the coalition, the opposition coalition, already divided, cracks within? Because everyone seems to be running their show, endorsing themselves.
It is very useful for all of them, and we need more of those people to come out. But we need to enter a process of seeing what is the best for Kenya. So we should submit to a process. And if we submit to a process and it comes out it's Maraga, Matiang'i, Rigathi, Kalonzo, Wamalwa, or any other person, so be it.
So be it.
Yeah.
Not about the gender card, this or that tribe. The right man or woman for the job.
I think we need to spend more time thinking of issues. How can we fix the economy of this country? How can we make Kenyans love each other? There is so much hate in society that it worries me every day. There is so much propaganda about tribe. But since I was born, and for the time I've been here, and the little I have, it is not from my tribe that I've gotten all that, apart from the name. You can actually get people from outside your community supporting you better than your own tribesmen, because they take it for granted that you have to support them before they support you. But other people can come and assist you. So we need to talk less of tribe. We need to talk about national integration and accepting each other that we are a Kenyan nation. And for us to be a nation, we have to respect each and every person, regardless of their station in life.
There you have it from Waziri Kipruto Arap Kirwa, former Agriculture Cabinet Minister in Kibaki 1 government. He served this nation in many other capacities. So it remains to be seen whether you'll tap into his nuggets of wisdom. For now, though, let's cross over to Heroes Corner with Waziri Kipruto Arap Kirwa. He's back from a break. We want to understand who's going to be our hero today.
Well, I was in Ethiopia for 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I saw a young man called Haile Gabriel Selassie.
Haile Gabriel Selassie?
Yes. Somebody born 51 years ago.
That must be 1973 thereabouts.
Yeah, 1973. And he's been in the game of chasing the wind. That is athletics.
Yeah.
And he's done very well for himself because he stayed there for almost 20 years. I think he won 4 Olympic, 2 Olympic games, which is a span of about 8 years. And for an athlete to survive that period, and he won so many trophies internationally. And he invested back at home in a place called Entoto, Addis Ababa, and Dawasa.
He never retired poor?
He never retired poor. And the beauty with Addis Ababa, and this is a tradition they have set, is that for every 100 million that you win, they give you an equivalent amount or more for you to do a project of your choice. And they will not charge you any money or interest or repayment until you get the first customer. For example, if you are building an outfit like a hotel, they will allow you to build, and the day you get the first team of occupants, that's when you start repaying the loan. So he's invested in Entoto. Entoto is up the mountain. Bole Road, which is the main street, he has, I think, three buildings. And in Awasa, which is the equivalent of Naivasha, he has 1 or 2 hotels. So the guy is retiring at 51, and he's doing very well.
So there's so much.
And he has a lot of humility.
Really?
He's very humble. When you see him in the streets of Addis Ababa, he's like Ryan in the streets of Nairobi.
He walks without cameras around him?
No,
to showcase his successes and lifestyle?
No. And when he's in a car, it can be a small taxi.
True humility?
Yes.
Not artificial humility?
No, it's not artificial.
Hapandi mahindi na kupiga kamera?
No.
Picha?
Hakuna mahindi huko sana, ni kitu inaitwa TEF. Yeah, so kama anapanda hiyo na kamera sijui.
So what do you think our athletes, our sportsmen and women in Kenya can learn from him? Do you think the question about investing their fortunes from the trucks?
Yes, also there is a need for discipline, just like any other investment. Discipline, humility, and also for the government to reduce taxes on the money athletes are getting from abroad. Remember, before they get the money here, some of the coaches will have taken a bit of it. Some of the taxes in those countries will have been entered. Therefore, by the time they get here with 10 million or 20 million, this is actually clean money that we should not be taxing. Because you are taxing on something you never invested.
Double taxation.
Double or triple taxation, or unfair taxation for that matter. What we should be doing is to allow them to invest and support them to invest.
That is it.
Yeah. The way a former member of parliament gets pension. What is their pension? Because you can run for a certain period. It may be 10 years, it may be 4 years. At the end of it, you need to retire and say, thank God.
All right, there you have it from Honorable Kipruto Arap Kirwa. Thank you so much for slating time for production today.
It's my pleasure.
We wait to see you next week, Majaliwa.
Yeah, we thank God. Next week is 14th or 15th?
Yeah, 15th.
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right.
I'll be here.
Asante na karibu sana. Until we get to do this again on Richard Mwenja exclusive, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Get me at Mwenja Richard across my social media handles. Let's keep this conversation going beyond here.